Today on Aging Untold, our bodies change over the years, and sometimes our confidence does too.
If you had a body image problem when you're younger, you're going to have it when you're older, unless you work on it.
We explore ideas for embracing those changes with self-love and grace. Also, whether it's painting, gardening, or dancing, having a hobby can make a big difference.
A hobby can be a health plan.
How certain activities can improve your quality of life.
Please tell me your hobbies. I long to hear from you. My best regards to your family. Best wishes from Angela.
Then later, a relationship on paper inspires a woman to write the next chapter in her lifelong penship. Experts with advice and solutions. You're watching Aging Untold with Aging Well Coach Catherine Ambrose, gerontologist Sam Craddock, aging expert Amy O'Rourke, and board-certified physician Dr. Ray Rogers. We're all getting older. It's about time we talked about it.
Welcome to Aging Untold. Aging brings real changes, and so do the feelings that come with them. Research shows older women share some of the same dissatisfaction with how they look as younger women do. However, this displeasure can soften as we age, and that's because the attention shifts more to how our bodies function. Today we're talking body image for older adults and how to feel good in the skin you're in right now. Dr. Ray, why do you think this is still an issue as we get older?
Well, I think a lot of women, they see themselves as aging and it's visible and they see that they're slipping in their professions, but it's more so because people are looking for the fountain of youth. A lot of people are looking in that mirror. Now you have some people who are looking at function and they're embracing function and they're saying, hey, body image is going to be the same, but I'm enjoying my body where it is right now and I'm acknowledging that. And I'm going to focus on my strength, my balance, and things like that. There's another aspect that I think is equally important is that, as we age, the body adapts. So it's like anything else, survival of the fittest. So you have some medical adaptations. Your tissue thins, muscles weaken, a little bit more frail, but the energy slows down. And really the body is trying to adapt and use resources on the organs that are the most important, like your brain and your heart and your lungs. And so now your tissues and your skin and your hair, they're the least priority, although some people make that more priority.
Yeah, I think we've always had this mindset that youth equals worth. And so we've got this whole anti-aging movement, and they're spending like $7 billion annually to try and keep people from doing what we're all naturally doing and we should embrace. I've always said our aged community are the classic cars of society. And you can see classic cars that are pristine and they look like they've been garage kept and you're like, why didn't you use it? And then you see some that has a little road rash and some dings and you're like, yes, somebody enjoyed this car. Somebody lived in this car. And that's kind of how I feel about the way we age. If we age perfectly, what life did we really live? I think they're the battle scars of a life well lived, and we need to embrace it and not be so worried about what we look like.
I remember I got a facial just to get some of the dead skin off, and they were trying to upsell me into, this injection and that injection and this peel, and I was like, I really like how I look. I'm fine with being my age. And I think about when we're older, and we've got the body image problem. If you had a body image problem when you're younger, you're going to have it when you're older, unless you work on it. So, but then we have loss of function, all right? And then we have an opportunity, which is develop resilience. Develop resilience. And I think how I want to develop resilience is communicate who I am, what I know, share my wisdom. I like blowing young people out of the water. They start talking about these wackadoodle ideas about what they think, what they're going to do. You know what I mean? And then you just throw a zinger out there of your experience and you watch them stop and listen. That's what I'm after, because I've lived through some tough stuff and it's made me stronger. But I like people to talk into it. Feeling irrelevant, feeling invisible. I've had that experience, but then I open my mouth. And that gives me the strength and the pride and who I am to the table, because I'm not really walking around thinking about how I look as much even as when I was younger.
Right.
I think that's going to be a change that we just naturally see with boomers, younger boomers, and Gen X. Like, I'm not going to go away quietly. I want to give my wisdom. I want to participate. I want to engage and be involved.
Right.
And so younger people might have a little harder time dismissing people. Now, I do hear from seniors that say, or older adults, Amy, older adults say that I lived a big life and I was used to people really paying attention to me, and now I feel invisible. I go out there into the public and I feel dismissed and invisible, and that's really sad, I think, to feel that way.
It is, instead of looking at aging as my superpower. That's my superpower.
And a lot of people would love to get to that.
Yeah,
point.
exactly.
That's true. That
So,
puts
I
it
mean,
in
it's a
perspective.
physical, everybody looks at it as physically my body image, but what about mentally my body image? That's
There you
just
go.
as powerful.
Okay, so there's some wrinkles and some gray hair. I'm embracing mine. I'm never dyeing this stuff. And, I figure if I stay fat enough, the wrinkles will stay away too.
That's a solid theory.
It's the way to go with it. But you've got to be happy with who you are. And I think that's where we fail so much, is we're always trying to paint things and make things look better so other people see what we want them to see.
Right, and what an opportunity for us to teach the people coming up behind us.
Yes,
It
it
is okay.
is.
You know what I mean?
For
Like,
sure.
they're coming up behind us. I want to show them how it can be done well.
Right.
And I'm going to open up my mouth. And that's what, people say, oh, interview older people and get their experiences. And I'm going to say to the older person, open up your mouth and share your experience. Don't wait to be asked.
It's just a wonderful journey that we're on.
Coming up, a wife honors her late husband, who gave the gift of life as an organ donor.
That is the epitome of Caesar. Give everything, leave nothing on the table kind of thing. So, and he did.
But there's a growing concern sacrifices like these are being discarded. Coming up, we reveal why potentially life-saving donations are going unused. But first, so many older adults are finding new ways to stay active.
I think it's the engagement and the movement, and it's keeping the brain going and stimulating.
We're shining a light on the power of having hobbies no matter your age.
Having hobbies is more than just engaging in activities you love. It can also be good for your health. According to researchers at UCLA, there are many benefits to having a hobby. Some of those include a boost in mental health, improvements in cognitive functions, and a reduced risk in chronic diseases like heart disease, stroke, and dementia. So, Amy, what's a good way to pick a hobby?
Well, I hate to tell you, I don't like the word hobby. I don't like the word
course you
hobby.
don't.
I don't. I think it's narrow. I think for me, it's thinking about what you would want to do that is outside of yourself, that has some purpose. Maybe you want to join an organization. But you know what I really think about? When I stopped working full time, in that frenetic pace, there was just time for me, and I was just decompressing. And I think anybody that's out there that's having that change in time is to let yourself be and take all the pressure off by saying, when you're asked, do you want to join? Do you want to get on this board? Do you want to go plant this tree? You just say, maybe, and don't commit yourself too early, because I'm just feeling now differently than I did when I stopped working full time a year ago.
Right, but you still feel like you have purpose.
Yes.
And a lot of retirees lose that sense of purpose because we tie who we are to what we do. So most people, if you say, hey, who are you? Your answer oftentimes will be, I'm a doctor, I'm a gerontologist. And we tell who we are, what we do instead of who we are. And so I see this with a lot of retirees where they retire and then they just dig inside themselves and they lose that sense of worth. And so a hobby can be a health plan. It really can, because it gives you value and it gives you worth and it gives you purpose. It doesn't have to be playing ball. It doesn't have to be those kind of things. For me, it's working in the yard. It's going out and gardening, getting my hands dirty and planting something.
It's
And I'd
having
love
time to
it.
do things that you didn't have time to do before because you had to go to work. So it's basically, and then sometimes when people, some people, they're planning their retirement, so it's gradual. They're already thinking about the things, gradually getting into it, as opposed to just abruptly stopping and making a decision. So I can see both ways, but I think it's the engagement and the movement, and it's keeping the brain going and stimulating and keeping balance and endurance and just engagement with the world, and maybe doing some things that you didn't have time to do before because you had to go to work. Like for me, I would love to volunteer and do different services for things like that.
Yeah, but just giving some thought to, all right, now I'm my own social director.
True.
What am I going to schedule for myself to do to keep myself entertained, really functioning and sharp? And exercise, that'd be a great hobby. Let's learn yoga, Pilates.
Right. I have a really close friend in her retirement, took up a paintbrush, and her paintings are unbelievable. She found out she had this crazy hidden talent, and she's an amazing artist. And people are paying a lot of money for her paintings now.
One thing I will say is that it has to be something that sparks you, and you can give it a try. Does it spark me or does it not? It has to be something that you think is a great thing to spend your time on.
Still to come after 60 years of letter writing.
And what was it like reading that after so many years?
It was the most awe-inspiring thing to think that we were just kids. We were 15 years old.
A woman creates a new bond with her pen pal. But first, donation delay and disappointment.
They say eventually you'll get used to it. I don't want to get used to it. I'd rather have a new kidney.
After the break, how waiting for a transplant can take a toll on many families.
They are our children, parents, partners, and friends. The lives of 100,000 people in the U.S. hang in the balance as they wait for a possible organ transplant. While experts say registering to be an organ donor can help save lives, according to the Association of Organ Procurement Organizations, nearly 20% of organs donated in the U.S. are never transplanted. Reporter Sierra Cummings is in Atlanta, Georgia, with an in-depth look at what's preventing these life-saving procedures.
Throwing discs with them. Christina Hernandez and her daughter, Hannah Wood, walked through East Roswell Park with this specific destination in mind, Disc Golf Hole 7. The area dedicated to Cesar Hernandez. The plaque here memorializes the beloved father and husband.
We love this park. I feel closer to him. Like I feel like he's here.
Ace number 5.
Aside from his love of disc golf and family,
So full of life. Caesar loved to have fun.
he enjoyed lip-syncing contests. His widow, Christina, says just like with singing, he gave everything his all in life. So it comes as no surprise, even in death, he's given his all too, as an organ donor. Cesar died from an aortic rupture, a tear in the wall of a major artery back in 2023. After the 51-year-old's death, Christine learned not only was he an organ donor, but also he agreed to a full-body harvest, which includes donating skin, eyes, and tissue. His donations transformed and saved lives. Our investigation found saving lives is not always the case with organ donations. Our analysis uncovered in Georgia alone in 2024, 1 in 6 organs were discarded, meaning despite doctors recovering the organ from a deceased person, 17% of the time, the organ was not used at all to save a life. The gap even bigger for specific organs like kidneys. Our statewide analysis showed 1 in 4 kidneys were never transplanted.
If anything, it makes it worse.
The numbers matter to people like Clyde Williams. Severe flu eventually caused acute kidney failure, he says. He does dialysis 3 times a week while waiting for a kidney.
They say, eventually you'll get used to it. I don't want to get used to it. I don't want to get used to it. I'd rather have a new kidney.
The agency which facilitates the donation process says the rate at which organs go discarded reflects a national crisis. Across the U.S., 20% of all organs are never transplanted. We found the main factors an organ goes unused include the quality or condition. For example, a liver that's too damaged from alcohol use. Logistics, like the commute time it takes to deliver the organ, which can only be out of the body for so long before it goes bad. Potential patient outcomes. If the doctor involved believes transplanting the organ into the patient could have negative outcomes, they may decide against even trying to transplant.
It's tragic because the families really want to help as many people as possible. I think the goal is that everybody gets a transplant. And we know right now, nationally, 13 people pass away every day waiting for an organ. So that's the goal, is to stop that.
Wow, I was really touched by him passing away at 51 and so full of life.
Yeah.
And his desire to give life. It's almost like an extension of him.
Yeah. An entire body harvest,
Yes.
not just organ donation. So
Yeah, you could see him all shaking and singing and all that, and then you think, of course he would give his all in death. Of course he would.
yeah, he gave it all in life.
Yeah.
So, but the amount of organs that don't get used, I can see that once they're harvested, finding that there's damage or
block.
that there's not, and the time blocks.
It's funny how you're very aware of the education of lots of things, but I don't remember going through education with organ donor even at a younger age.
Mm-hmm. Right.
So some awareness campaigns out there, maybe the show will help.
Still to come, a woman with a lifetime of written memories lacked one special connection. We reveal her bucket list item and the moment she was inspired to fulfill it.
In a world of text messages, some say letter writing is a lost art. For 6 decades, a woman in Vermont embraced this art to foster friendship with a pen pal across the pond. The two women never talked on the phone, never emailed, and never met in person. Joe Carroll shows how they went from exchanging letters to exchanging hugs.
Oh, I love this lake.
Mirror Lake in North Callis is where Debbie Haskins finds her peace. Except for the paddles dipping in the cold water, there is silence.
Magical.
It gives her time to think about her friend Angela of 60 years.
But she's never seen me on the water.
The two have been pen pals since they were teens.
You know, I come from an era where writing was important.
Debbie was a student at Essex High School. Angela lived in Cheltenham, England. Debbie still has the first letter that Brett wrote her in February of 1965.
And her handwriting is beautiful. She's a lefty. I would like to correspond with you very much.
Debbie has kept everything that Angela has sent her.
And this is a picture when she was a teenager.
A lifetime of memories and connections.
Priceless is not even a good word for it.
Debbie would write the letters from here in North Callis to her friend Angela in England. They'd write about pop music to fashion, work to marriage. 60 years of stories. But there was something missing.
It was my one bucket list thing that I never got to do.
Her friends thought otherwise. They organized a trip for Debbie to meet Angela across the pond.
I had to go out and get a passport.
Landing in London, Debbie made perhaps the most nerve-wracking phone call of her life.
Hello, Debbie.
Angela! Oh my God, it's you! Oh, it's so good to hear your voice.
And it was the first time hearing each other's voice.
Can you come at 9? Bye.
Okay, bye.
Bye.
The next day they would meet.
And here it is. Hugs.
Debbie gave a warm embrace. Angela more reserved.
60 years.
But at the end of the day together.
And that was when she whispered in my ear, "This I'll never forget today. I'll never forget this."
The two, now 75, most likely will never meet again. The letter writing will live on.
My dearest Angela, I am sitting at my desk, all unpacked and reliving all the memories. How can it be that after 60 years we finally met? Did you think that when we were 15?
Growing up together, one letter at a time.
It is very magical.
I remember our whole class wrote to Barry Manilow, but we never heard back.
Well, shame on him.
If we did, I don't remember.
Shame on him.
Those two, those stayed in touch. That's amazing.
It's amazing.
They
It's
shared
amazing. And don't you
16
know the
years.
feeling of going to the mailbox and getting a letter?
Yeah, the anticipation.
The anticipation and then
yes.
reading it and then thinking, like my sister writes letters and she sends cards and she puts so much thought into it. I try to save them just because the feeling in the card is so that she took all that time to put into the thought, into the letter to reach out to me. I loved it.
They shared their whole lives. They are witnesses of each other's entire lives.
But didn't anybody else think it was strange that 60 years, all this technology, telephones, and now cell phones,
I get
and they
it.
never talked on the phone?
I get it. I don't think I'd want to. I'd be scared.
Why?
After all those years.
Yeah, after all those years, like, what is she going to be like? You know, you have an image in your mind of what they're going to
Exactly.
be, and this feels really good, and we're really close. And what if I hear the voice and something happens?
It sounds like mine, and you don't like it?
That's exactly what I was going to say.
I was.
But sometimes the devices and all this newer technology, it makes it so impersonal. You know, people lose that personality.
That was the social media of history, by the way, right there. It had a stamp on it. Yeah.
So we're all getting older, and it's about time we talked about it. Until next time, we'll see you on Aging Untold.
On the next Aging Untold, taking a fall.
How do you fall?
Yeah, well, how do you get back up? And that's what Tai Chi and Pilates are going to help you do.
We'll tell you how to lower your risk of falling and give you some tips on how to boost your balance. Find more Aging Untold content on your favorite social platform. You can follow Aging Untold on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok now.